Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. Zach Eichenberger here, Director of Product and Services for Control Product Systems Group. Welcome to another educational event brought to you by CPSGU and Maximum Controls. It's part of our manufacturer series of webinars. Feels like we haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm excited to get these cranked back up. And I'm super excited to do this webinar today. If you're a product geek like I am, you're going to quickly recognize the thoughtful approach to the engineering of these products. Two words that come to mind are just uncompromised quality. That'd be the phrase I'd use to describe the offerings, but it goes well beyond quality. They've really kept the installer in mind, as well as the end user in mind in the product management of the product. So tons of really unique feature sets in this line of operators and access controls. That's what you're going to see during this session, is that Maximum Controls is much more than just a gate operator company or manufacturer. They're an access control company. So in more of the second half of the presentation, you'll see some of these innovative access control products that your customers are demanding and your end users are demanding in this new day and age of connected access. So presenting today, we've got Jake and Matthew. These guys have decades of experience in the perimeter security marketplace, and that experience is demonstrated in the product offering. So Jake and Matthew, thank you so much for presenting today. What do you have for us?
Hello, everyone. And first, I would like to say thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share our product line. And we're really excited about this. So I'm Matthew, and this is Jake. So today we're going to go over our product line. So our pad mount operators, our actuators, our Max app with the cell hub, and the accessories that work with the app that are needed to expand on it. Here's a picture of some of our products and the app in the center. We have 7 different slide models. So the weight of the gate is in the name of the operator. So that's kind of how you choose what models for that certain gate. We have 2 main types of slide gate operators. So FS models, that FS stands for fail safe. So they have a manual release mechanism, and it's a very unique manual release mechanism. It works electronically, and we'll delve deeper into that a little bit later. But there's actually 3 different ways of making it manual release, and you don't have to be in front of the operator to do so. And then we also have a fast slider, the F18, which is goes 18 inches per second for class 3 and 4 installations. All our gate operators have a modular design. So removing any component is as easy as the boards. They have a teardrop, so you just loosen the screws, lift it up and out, and it's the same board for the entire pad mount product line. So we have a ID plug that connects to the board, and that says the EEPROM in the board, tells the board how to behave for its given model. And that ID plug is tethered to the frame, so it stays with the frame of the operator. So once you learn one operator, you've pretty much learned the line. So there's a lot of commonality and just a lot of shared components. It's the same slider frame for the whole slider product line. Same power supply from the 2200 down. Once you move up to the Rhinos, it has a beefier power supply. And the motors are even interchangeable. Say you go with like a 1500 model and it was the wrong operator for the job, you can easily upgrade it to a 2200, making it twice as strong. The motor mounts directly to that smaller gearbox on the 1500 model. And because it's directly mounted, it makes the operation very quiet. Turn on some of these operators. Okay, but the direct drive makes the system very quiet and smooth. Our idle sprockets use a ball bearing inside here and have these, and it's sandwiched between along the sides. That's to prevent the chain from skipping, and it also keeps it so the chain from skipping or popping out, and it keeps it all together. So if you have ice buildup or anything like that, a looser chain, and because it has a ball bearing, it actually allows you to make the chain tighter than you normally would if you had like a bushing setup. It takes a lot of load off the operation of the gate operator. Yeah, oh, cool. So like right now, the slider is running virtually silent. It's very impressive. There's two ways of setting the limits on our slide gate operators. Standard, they come with virtual limits, which you program by just holding a couple buttons on the board. And then we have magnet limit switches, where you have place sensors on the frame of the operator, and then you put a magnet in the open position and the closed position. The nice thing about the magnet sensors is we have a patent on this feature where if somebody cuts the chain, or if they burst, like they drive a car through the gate, some sort of theft or vandalism, the alarm will go off on the operator, and it will also inform you on our app that we have that's going on. And also, if you have a certain install where the end user is dropping the chain because they're having issues with their access controller or something, and moving the gate along, or just messing with it like that, turning off the operator, moving it along on the manual release models, it will always go back to where those magnets are set. And this magnet sensor has 12 sensors, so it's a very wide field, and it's held together by 2 screws. A lot of times people buy our magnets and they use them on like other model gate operators that incorporate magnets because they like our magnets so much. We have an anti-overcoast feature on our sliders. So what you'll notice when they travel is they'll slow down, and then at the end it'll freeze. With the brushless motors, we have the ability to use the motor as a brake. So the benefit of that is preventing any overcoasting or undercoasting. It will always stop exactly where you set it. And then we have 3 motors through the line, so we kind of went over that. And the board is common. So manual release on the FS models. So the first way is to just turn on the switch on the front of the operator. So on other operators, that switch is like a power switch. That's not the case with ours. It's a manual release switch if it's a FS model. So once you turn on that switch, the motor, instead of locking the system, unlocks the system and then allows you to freely push it back. A lot of times, people don't like that being so available because there's a little slide up door. So depending on the install, you can just unplug that switch and then you can use one of the other methods. The jog key switch electronically moves the gate, also unlocks the gate, but it bypasses the safety devices. It even bypasses a lot of the circuitry of the board. So if the board is damaged, there's a strong possibility the jog may still work. And definitely if the issues with safety devices, you have the ability to move the gate back and forth with the jog. And then we also have a manual release input. So then, you don't have to be in front of the operator to engage manual release. You can be on the other side of the property. So with any other operator with a manual release function, you have to push a foot pedal or a hand crank, something like that. With our operator, you can electronically send a message to put it in manual release mode. and then push the gate open. And with our app, we have it also extends out to our app. So say you go to press open on our app, in that middle display right below like the open button on the right here, it'll say unable to open. If it's unable to open because of the rear photo eye, then you can check the log in there and it'll show because the rear photo eye is triggering. Well, you can press that as an administrator, you can press the manual release button and then push, whoever's there can push the gate open. And you can do that from anywhere in the world, as long as you're connected to the internet. And then our swing gates. So again, the capacity is in the names of the operators, except the tank and the tank, that unit weighs 330 pounds. It's a beast of an operator. So it's a very unique operator. If you ever have a massive gate, that's the only solution on the market for something like that. Now, with the 1400s and 2200s, we make them in two different profiles, two different heights. So we have the standard profile that the arm height is 19.5 inches. So that makes it incognito. You know, it's for a new install, people like it because it's easily hidden with some plants and maybe just a fixture at the bottom of the gate. The HP model is the same height and bolt pattern as a CSW. So that makes retrofits very easy. And it also has a middle shelf area where there's a lot of space to fit all kinds of accessories. So there's a lot of space in this operator. So it's very easy to work with. So it's kind of, if you want the incognito model, or if you want like the retrofittable, easier to fit model, that's kind of the difference between the two. And the gearbox motor set, they fit on either frame. So it's the exact frame for either setup. And like I was saying, it's common components across the line. And so again, with the swing gate operator, say you got a 1400, you would need to upgrade its strength. You can get a 2200 motor mounted on and make it stronger. Also, maybe the end user, like somebody crashes into the gate, making the gearbox break, or you find like you can upsell them on the gearbox. You're like, okay, well, we could put a 2200 gearbox on your 1400. So there's a lot of cross compatibility and modularity there. Our output shaft is 3¼ inch diameter. I want to grab one. This thing is massive. So that gives the system a lot more surface area. So then it has a lot more grip. So with our strong brushless motors, it prevents slipping through its action. And we use the same output shaft, same diameter output shaft all the way to the tank. So it's a great system that's proven for a variety of different size gates. And then here's our clamping mechanism. It's very straightforward when it comes to locking and unlocking. So the unlock position, this is the lock position. You don't lose track where it can go. And we don't incorporate any short plate or anything like that. So it's and because it's direct drive, again, just look like the sliders, makes the system very quiet, very smooth. I mean, right now we have the cover off, it's on top of a metal thing. This is as loud as it gets. Outside, it's you can't hear it. So anytime I come to a job site to help out installer, they're like, "Oh, is it running?" And then, so it's very, very impressive. And the fact that the gearbox sits right on top of the frame. If there ever comes a time where somebody crashes into the gate when the gate's completely closed, damaging the gearbox, it's very easy to change out. You just put the gearbox on top of the frame and then change out the 4 bolts. Where other operators, you got to mount it sideways, and you have to deal with a chain and multiple things. This is, yes, so there's no adjustment. It just mounts right there. And then the motor just mounts with the 4 screws, the 4 bolts, I should say. Our gearboxes, we use cast iron for the housing, which can take a lot of pressure. Some gate operators on the market, they use aluminum housing, which it cannot take the type of pressures that cast iron can. And we use synthetic motor oil as our gear oil, which that helps preventing the viscosity from changing when it gets cold or hot. It keeps it pretty neutral. So that way the operator doesn't freeze up and have to work too hard when it gets cold. But because we have a short plate, and I mean, we don't have a short plate and we don't have any pin mechanism. It has the slipping mechanism that follows. It's hard to see this angle, but the limits follow the arm with the pin in there. So if the gate is collided into while the operator is operating, or if you install the operator with a little bend, even if the gate's completely closed, it will never break if they collide into the gate. And so that prevents any damage and service calls. And they just give it a command and it'll go back to its set limits. And our limits are this custom enclosed limit mechanism, which is we use waterproof outdoor rated limits. So this makes it more reliable, and we have very few limit failures. It works out really good. And then again, it's the same board for all the swings, and that's the same board for all the slides. So the whole pad mount line incorporates the same board and same motors through the line. This is how the limits work. There's an LED that triggers when you're in the open position or the closed position. And you basically just adjust those accordingly. Now, all our pad mount operators, we use brushless motors. Brushless motors are far more reliable than brush motors. They last 10 times as long. Every industry today, if you want to buy a premium product, it's going to incorporate a brushless motor. From drills to drones to pumps, any industry today, a premium product is going to incorporate a brushless motor. Brushless motors commutation is electrical. So with a brushless motor, you have to pulse width modulate. So it's a little more complex to drive it. That's why you don't see all products being made with brushless motors. And but there's a lot of benefits. You don't have the type of maintenance. You don't have to change brushes. You don't have EMI noise. So with a brush motor, if you have loop detectors close to the board, or if you have radio receivers, edge receivers close to the, excuse me, not the board, but the motor, that could cause noise while EMI noise when the gate operator is running and mess with those components. Also, the torque characteristics with brushless motor versus brush motor. Brushless motors have a flatter torque characteristic. So under lower speeds, they have more torque, and then under higher speeds, they also have more torque. Where brush motors, they have more of a sweet spot. But they're moderately flat as well. Brushless motors are far more efficient. They're about 90 to 95% efficient, whereas brush motors are about 70 to 75% efficient. And then the motor speed with a brush motor, what dictates the motor speed is the voltage going into the motor. Whereas a brushless motor, you're basically telling the motor what pole to energize. You're telling it where to go. So you have full control of the gate operator. And that's why we're called maximum controls. That has to do with controlling the gate to the fullest.
Oh, okay, so to add to that point, basically, if a slider gate is going downhill, basically we adaptively brake the motor to make sure that the gate does not get out of control. So you have good safety. ERD still works going downhill, and you're also able to fully control the gate without it going out of control on you.
And same thing with our swing gate operators. So we don't let the operator get ahead of itself. We count what the RPMs are, and we're able to use the motor as a brake. So and then there's also other ways of helping with downhill. We'll get into that in a little bit though. So you would ask, why doesn't everybody use brushless if you have all these benefits? Well, the drive complexity, it's far more complex. You need advanced DSP control. You need digital signal processing, which basically requires some sort of processor. It's whereas a brush motor, you just apply DC voltage and then it turns. And then
also, if I may add, because brushless DC has so much efficiency, over 90%, you need to be able to control the tremendous energy and not allow your boards to get damaged, and be able to handle current spikes and so forth. So in the industry, there's been a lot of challenge getting brushless DCs going. So having done this over 10 years, you know, we've perfected our technology.
There's a video.
So if I may add, basically, applications where heavy gates have been as well as swings, but particularly sliders, where they use brush motors. And what our customers complain is that basically every year they have to go and change the motor out because the brushes wear out and all the carbon gets into the stator, and you can't really replace just the brushes, so they have to keep changing. So when they switch over to our operators, basically they keep telling us that, you know, I'm so happy that I don't have to keep going back to that site every year having to change out motors. So now we're going to talk about the power supply. So
we have a modular power supply. It's easily removed by 4 bolts again, and it's a toroidal power supply, and it has great lightning surge protection, and this power supply can run 2 gate operators. So that's how beefy we do the power supply. So some people are skeptical when a brand says, oh, well, can it run without the batteries? Our gate operator, you can completely remove the batteries and the power supply can run 2 gate operators. I'm not recommending you do that, but that's just like a testament how we overbuild the power supply, and it's important to do that for reliable long life function. And because we're not always tapping off the batteries, we're not aging them as quick. So with our battery backup, with the swing gates, you can expect around 400 cycles of battery backup. With the sliders, 200 cycles. If it's something like the Rhino sliders, like 100 cycles. And all our gate operators are solar, basically compatible, solar ready with our UL approved max solar pack. This is the only UL approved solar module in the industry. This solar pack, it fits into all our slide gate operators. It fits into all our high profile swing gate operators. It doesn't fit into the low profile swing, but we have an external box for it where you can mount it in that box and then run the wire into the gate operator. It also fits in the tank. And this solar pack, it has two 36 amp hour Yuasa AGM batteries. So they're very high quality batteries. And it has a Morningstar Sun Saver regulator. And it has an on-off switch and fuses where they're supposed to be. We had to do this housing to get the UL approval for this solution. So that's what makes this really unique. It's a true UL approved solar module. We also have a combiner board. Using this combiner board, you can combine up to 4 solar packs together and then run them to one gate operator. That way you'll have a redundant system and also a very beefy system if you have a certain site that's high traffic. And you can also use just 2 if you want. Doesn't have to be 4. It could be 2, 3, or whatever number between 1 and 4. And basically it'll default to whichever solar pack has the highest voltage. And then so if one solar pack fails the system, if the batteries go bad in one of the solar packs, it will just ignore that solar pack and then go in between the 3 that have the most charge. You can also use this module to make a hybrid system. So you can, especially like with our HP swing, the power supply sits right underneath the gearbox. This picture doesn't show the power supply, but that's where the power supply is on the HP swing. And then the solar pack goes underneath that shelf we have. So you can have both. You can easily fit both with extra room for accessories. Plug the power supply into this and the solar pack into this, and then this goes to the board, and then you have both. So if you have an area where they have a lot of power outages, this is an awesome solution. Base, as you may be aware, for solar operators on solar installations. It's something, I forget the exact number, it changes every year, but it's something like 25%, maybe a little higher.
Okay, so for power supplies, just to come back to power supplies again, we handle 110 and 220. And basically, if you have a 3-phase, you tap off the single phase for each case. So for 110 as well as 220. And we provide, application notes how to do those things for the 220 3 phases, how you tap off. And so, yeah.
And our power supplies also on the swing gate operators, if you bring in 220, our accessory power outlet changes it back to 110. So you don't want to hook up a welder or anything like that to the swing gate power outlet. The slider power outlet, it goes straight to the AC source. So you can hook up whatever to it. But it doesn't convert it down to 110 if you have 220. So that's a little bit of a difference between the swing and slides. Now, our gate operators have many inputs, and the advantage of having all these inputs is it makes it really easy to diagnose issues. We have LEDs that turn on for each input when the input is active. And we also have our onboard diagnostics, which we'll delve into a little more in a moment, that keeps track of every input that's happened in the past 8,000 transactions. So it tells you when the input's triggered and when that trigger went away. So, you know, a lot of times I'll see installers bring multiple devices into one input, and then I'll tell them like, hey, you're really not taking advantage of what you have here. It's very important to separate out the devices because it's going to make your life easier if something goes wrong. And then different inputs behave slightly differently, like fire department and max open. If you have partial open program, you can program partial open on our slide gate operators. Those inputs will go to the full open position, and then strike and keypad will go to the program partial position. So sometimes people will use the one gate operator for entry and exit. It'll like open to the partial position for entry and then all the way for the exit. Or maybe they just want maybe it's a very long gate. They don't want it to open all the way, but for the Knox key switch and stuff like that, then they want to hook it up to fire department so it has room for the big trucks. So our battery backup mode, we have 3 modes for battery backup. Leave open is basically fail safe, where the gate operator will run normally when it goes into battery backup. And then when the power gets low on the batteries, the voltage gets low, I should say, the gate operator will open up and stay open. Leave close is fail secure, where it will run normally and then fail in the closed position when it gets low. And open one time is automatically open up when the AC power goes away. And as long as there's no inputs present, when the AC power is restored, it will just automatically close. The quick close is a feature where instead of the board waiting for the timer to close to kick in, you have the timer to close in addition to the looking for the safety loops to trigger and untrigger. So say the gate's opening and a car goes over the safety loop and then the safety loop trigger goes away, then the gate starts to close. So that's to help prevent tailgating. And we have another dip switch where it says mode B, mode A here that has to deal with it reopening. So instead of having it reopen, it could stop at that position. The timer is selectable anywhere between one, like immediate, basically, it's half a second to 1 minute. We have opening and closing ERD sensitivity, individual adjustment. So like Jake was mentioning, like uphill gates, that way you can, tailor the gate, the sensitivity differently in each direction. And we have maglock delay, which is a leaf delay, which will make the primary operator open first. And there's 2 settings. So it works as a de-energize time. So how long it takes, it gives the maglock to de-energize, as well as how big of a leaf delay. So it's kind of a dual function thing. And then if you need more delay, we even have speed control for opening and closing on each operator. And you have full access to all these inputs on the primary or secondary operator. You can have loops going to the secondary operator, strike commands going to secondary operator, safety devices. With the safety devices, like say if it's 2 sliders, you have to have it going to each operator to follow UL. But with the swing, it's shared. You could put it on either side. So you have full access to all these stuff. A lot of the switches, they're only set on the primary operator, so it'll avoid it on the secondary operator, like quick close, battery backup setting, the timer setting. It all defaults to whatever the primary operator is set to. So our
Hey guys,
yes.
can you go back one? I just got a couple comments and a question. So, there's some really unique features here that you're not going to see in a lot of other operators. The battery voltage, battery test. I mean, honestly, what operator are we putting in? I mean, what access controls are we putting in these days that don't have some sort of battery involved? So the PMs these days are requiring us to test batteries, and a lot of folks don't keep a proper battery tester on their vehicle. They might have a tester for a truck battery or something like that, but these 7 amp hour batteries are a different animal. So that's a really kind of a cool feature. The ERD sensitivity, open and close, I mean, very useful in so many applications. So I think, great job there. Question for you, the gate speed. So in a, class 1 and 2 applications, say slider, we can go 1 foot per second. Are you saying we can dial that down? How far down can we dial the gate speed on a slider?
To 8 inches per second.
Okay, no, very good.
So it's really advantageous. The way I would use it with the swing gates, it's really nice because you can always ensure that you have a nice, if say they're like kind of uneven, you'll just slow down that faster one. They'll arrive together, and you can do the same thing for the opening. Yeah. And then with the slider, maybe you have like a 20-foot gate and a 30-foot gate. And, maybe the customer doesn't like how like one's there, then one's still traveling. You could slow down that faster one and then just have nice, synchronous movement.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, and tandem gates are becoming popular, so we're trying to slow those things down because that leading leaf's going a little bit too fast. So we can utilize the feature there.
Yes, you can.
If I may add, there's also advanced features on those mode A and mode B dip switches where you have gate in motion alerts, you have tamper detection. If a gate is pushed off of the close limit, there's a tamper relay on the bottom right where it triggers. And so there's a lot of advanced features in those mode A and mode B dip switches.
Very nice. So we can't dive into every detail here, but you'll see a ton of unique feature sets here, and we'll give you some links in the post webinar notes to go dive a little bit deeper into quick close. If you don't know what quick close is, I mean, that's a super useful feature that most machines don't have. And just take a look at this board. I mean, look at all the inputs and the ease of install that that's going to provide, where some operators might only have 1 or 2 inputs for a particular function. You've got a lot of flexibility here. And I'm not sure if we're going to dive into all the various types of monitoring you have on the board, but we've got normally closed and 10K to play with there. So that's helpful as well.
Yeah, if I may add, basically you have 3 ports for normally closed and 3 ports for 10K. So you could actually put up to 12 sensors on a gate if you wanted to. So, and basically one unique thing about our operators is that when a 10K edge or other than the photocell, closing photocell input, which is the photo close NC, if even if it's a massive gate, if you trigger these open only 10K or close only 10K or the normally closed, the operator will stop instantly. Like there is no coasting. So if somebody has their arms in the pickets and so forth, we immediately stop the operator. So making it very safe. But of course, you have to know how to deal with all that energy, that momentum that's stored in the motor. So we do that for safety conditions and as well, yes.
Excellent. And I'm slowing you guys down. I really want to get to the access control points, but even the bottom left corner there, folks, 24 volt DC and 12 volt DC output. I mean, just again, thinking about the installer in mind, it's sometimes you need multiple voltage outputs depending on the accessories you're hooking up. So
Yeah.
great job there thinking about the installer.
And then we also have a solar mode switch here. So it's the same board for solar installs. So, you know, some brands, they have a solar specific board and an AC, you know, specific board. This board is the same for either style of installation. You just turn on this solar switch, and that puts it into sleep mode. And also the display we have to kind of come back, this display, you can hold the program button. I'm not going to be able to really see what I'm doing here, but so when you hold the program button down, it brings you to a menu that guides you. So the first thing it shows here is program menu, use left or right to scroll. So we have arrows on top of the open and close button. So I can go to the right here by pressing close, and then it says view error log, scroll up and down. And then there's an up and down arrow on top of the jog buttons. See the jog left, jog right, there's arrows on top of those. So then we just press down, and then we can see the past 30 errors. There's a time and date stamp for each error. Tells you, like right now, like it says P on battery. P means primary. So you would always go through this menu if you had a dual gate, always on the primary. It gives you information for both. Same thing as the OBD black box port we're about to go over. And then so just any errors you can kind of think of that they show up here, but it's
Also, another useful thing is that the programming mode can show you input voltage.
I'm about to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So it gives you a cycle counter. So it basically has an odometer on it. And then it tells you what the input voltage is and what the average current is, how hard the operator is working. This is a very helpful tool, especially for us at tech support. If the gate operator is ERDing or something, you see, well, how hard is this operator working? And then we can suggest an upgrade motor, or maybe they have to fix something. Temperature, what's the temperature of the board? And you can adjust the time and date, because this is set for California time. You don't necessarily have to do this, but the log has a time and date stamp for each event. So it's pretty easy to change. Our log, now to get more detail, you would plug in a flash drive into the OBD port. And then once you plug it in, the indicator light next to the flash drive turns on, and it gives you the event log for the last 8,000 events. And it also tells you what settings you have the board set to. So this is a really great tool. After you finish the installation, pull a log, you can see how you left all the switches and stuff. That way, if you come back and you see things have been tinkered with, you know that somebody's been messing with the operator. And if maybe if the operator is going into ERD or something, well, it's like, well, you made it more sensitive than it was, or something like that. You changed the gate speed. That's why they're uneven now. Yeah. And then this is what the log looks like. We separate each event. So it basically, here we can see at where it says 10-1-20 20 at 12-10-55, open button released. So below that, it shows open button press. It shows when the gate starts moving, and it shows any detail you can imagine. This is the most powerful diagnosing tool in the industry. It's a very helpful function. I cannot understate how helpful this is, how much this has helped us fix crazy issues that no other operator would have been able to find, because sometimes it's just like a short in a wire that's causing some phantom opening or something, and it's like when the wire is getting wet, or some interference with the radio receiver, and the radio receiver is triggering. So having those multiple inputs and stuff is really handy, and with this log. We also have a wireless RS-45 module. So this allows wireless primary, secondary communication. The chipset in this module has a 1 mile rating. So this is the most powerful wireless module on the market. So that makes it very reliable. I have very few failures with this product. There's very, you know, I've literally like only 4 RMAs, and I think it ended up being something else. So this is it's a very solid product. So our arms, we have 3 different actuators. This is our lowest cost arm. It's but its construction is stainless steel. It has a long stroke, so that gives it more leverage than some other operators on the market. It's very quiet, along with all our actuators. They're very quiet. This has this arm is a newer version of an arm we were selling before, and then this has limits that are they're limit switches that are hidden within this limit tray. And you can visually see there's a follower that follows the output shaft as the not output shaft, but as the shaft moves, there's a follower that follows and triggers a limit. So it's very easy to set the limit on this operator. And the brackets are lined up directly in line. So what like I would recommend with this operator is flip it upside down when they set the limits. That way they can see the limit assembly, set the limits, and they can flip it right back around. That also makes installation easier, the fact that they're completely in line. You don't have to have them offset or anything. And we also sell very nice push to open brackets. So if you ever do a push to open install, it makes that very easy. The 2 super arms we have. So again, the name of the operator is the weight rating. These arms are made in Germany. So they're very high quality. The 1300 is very similar capacity to that Ultra arm. At this point, I wouldn't recommend the Ultra arm in snowy climates where it snows a lot. But the 1300, this arm's been working in Sweden and Norway for many years. So this product's very proven in climates like that. Whereas the Ultra arm's literally been flawless in other climates like California, you know, except for like the Sierras, but like California, Texas, Florida, anywhere where it doesn't snow regularly. It's the Ultra arm's great. These 2 super arms, they have a special clutch mechanism, which let me go. Where as long as the gate's open a little bit, if a car collides with the gate, and it has to hit it from this angle, it can't hit it from the other angle because it'll pull it out. That allows the gate to move out of the way, and it doesn't break any part of the arm. So you just give it another command and it goes back to its set limits. I have to. And then we have 2 different control boxes for the actuator. We have our solar control box, which is only like $100 more than the standard one. The solar control box has 17 amp hour batteries, Yuasa batteries, so large high quality batteries, and a Morningstar Sun Saver regulator built into the, so it's a 10 amp regulator. So similar to our solar pack, but it's all built into the actuator box. Whereas the AC control box has 7 amp hour batteries for battery backup. And then it has a similar to like our pad mounts, the toroidal power supply. And all the inputs and stuff, they're the same as the pad mounts. So the board's very similar, it shares 95% components. Just the inputs here for the motor, that's different. Some features that don't quite make sense for the actuators versus the pad mounts are a little different. For example, like gate speed, because it's one board controlling 2 operators, we only control the closing gate speed on the what we call motor 1 and motor 2, like the primary arm and the secondary arm. That way you can make sure they come nice together, or you can extend the kind of slow down one leaf more on top of the maglock delay. Maybe the wind is hitting one leaf and the maglock delay is just quite not enough. You can even adjust it further by messing with the speed. A great feature we have with the actuators is lock on close. So by turning on the third dip switch on mode B, you would basically adjust the limit so it's a 1/4 inch or like 1 inch away from a positive stop, and then it will continue to coast past the limit setting until it presses tied up against the positive stop. So that keeps the system very tight in the closed position, takes away any slop, because some of the slop you may have may just be gate flex or something like that. The operators have very little slop on their own, but that tightens up the system. So all these gate operators we went over, they're compatible with our Max Cell Hub. This Max Cell Hub on the right here, when you get this module, it plugs right into the board, has a harness that plugs into the board. That allows you to have the Max Cloud app. And you can expand this to 16 access points. So you can get, for example, we're showing here our keypad going to, and the keypads also have Wiegand ports on them. So we'll delve into that a little more in a second. And then we have our Wiegand converter. So maybe you don't want the keypad, you just want the Wiegand part of it. So that does that. And then we also have these wireless Wiegand bridge. This is kind of like the Surefire, but it's better, and it's just made for our system. It's an enclosed system, and what makes it better is you only need one receiving unit for up to 15 transmitting units. So you don't have to buy additional receiving units. You just, and it has a 1 mile range, and you can also hardwire Wiegand transponder, for example, or any Wiegand product to the wireless receiving unit as well. Our Cell Hub works exclusively on our gate operators, so it's only works with our gate operators. You can the nice thing is we provide a AT&T and Verizon SIM card, so you can choose whichever carrier better suits the area they're in. A lot of products on the market, they only work with AT&T, whereas Verizon has better reception in a lot of areas. We have 2 different plans, so it's very straightforward, the data plans. We have a residential plan that's $7.95. So if it's for like a small business or a single family home, something like that, it's $7.95. Anything larger than that is going to be $15. So it's a very low monthly fee. We don't charge extra for each access point, we don't charge for users. So that keeps the cost down a lot compared to some other products on the market.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt you guys. We're just getting towards the end of the time here. What we're going to do is we're going to send some bonus footage out to you. I think that the gate operator line has so many innovative features that we just had to talk about them, and we really wanted to get a little bit deeper into access controls as well. This Cell Hub is going to blow your mind when we dive in a little bit deeper on what it can do. So I think Matthew and Jake, let's record some bonus footage on the Cell Hub and the access controls and send those out to the registered attendees, if you guys are okay with that.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's got a ton of amazing features, and it's so cost effective. It's incredible. It's expandable to more access controls you saw there. So I think we'll send that out as just bonus footage after this call.
Okay. How much time do we have to do?
Any time for questions or are we okay?
It's 9. So
Yeah, we're right at the end of our time. So
Yeah.
there was just one question that just came through from Chuck. When will the Android fix for new phones be available for the Cell Hub?
Yeah, so what has happened is basically they added a new
Hey, maybe
privacy.
lean in a little closer.
Yeah, they've added, both Android and iPhone have added some privacy laws to the apps, and that would be released like within a week. And so basically it allows a user to delete themselves from the system. So the newer Android phones require that, and that's been in the works, and so it'll be out within a week.
Yeah, that's the world we're living in. Privacy is becoming more and more important. But guys, great presentation. I mean, and more importantly, just great work engineering the products and thinking about the feature sets that are going to make our clients successful in the field. So much appreciated there. Thanks everybody for attending today. We'll follow up with some more information. Matthew and Jake, thank you so much for organizing and presenting today.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, everybody. Have a great day.